Thank you. Namaskar. Good afternoon. It's wonderful to be here, and it's particularly wonderful for us because I think as a country we've all been celebrating the Mars mission and its success across the world, in fact. And Pallav and my name is Subhadra Menon, we wrote a book called Reaching for the Stars, which was published by Bloomsbury and is available in the venue. And we are particularly grateful because we have with us the key person who was behind the Mars mission as one of India's top space scientists, Dr. Annadurai. And I'm sure in the course of the afternoon, you're going to hear some wonderful stories from Annadurai about the way we went about designing this wonderful mission, because across the world, it's the first time any country was able to reach Mars in the first go. And it was the cheapest mission designed across the world, which led PM Modi to call it something that was even cheaper than the Hollywood film Gravity. And therefore, we have a lot to be proud of, and we're going to be sharing a little bit of the journey, not just of the Mars mission, which actually was less of a journey and more of a roller coaster ride, I think. And Pallav and I would like to share what led us to write the book, and I would certainly like to make sure that we leave some time for an interaction with all of you where we can have some questions and answers. My name is Subhadra Menon. I am a writer and an author, and my core area of work is public health, but I'm fascinated by the kind of amazing leaps that the science and technology sector in our country has made. And it's despite the odds, it's beating a lot of barriers, and it also is, what in Hindi we call a misal, something that stands out for the country as an example of how we can really deliver with minimal resources and high efficiency. And I started this journey of writing this book about a year ago, so it was equally a roller coaster for us. And it meant traveling to some of ISRO's landmark institutions, the Vikram Sarabhai Space Center in Trivandrum, ISRO headquarters in Bangalore, where Annadurai works, and the institutions in Ahmedabad, which were originally set up by the trailblazing Vikram Sarabhai, and learning what it means to be a part of ISRO. It's an unusual and wonderful story. And also learning what it took for all these engineers and scientists to come up with this satellite that they call MOM, the Mars Orbiter Mission Satellite, and we also call Mangalyaan. And how did they manage this in 15 months? What are the stories of hope and despair? I noticed there was hardly any despair. And we've tried to bring it together in this book. We were particularly fortunate to find Mr. Suresh Gopal, publisher special projects from Bloomsbury, who was a dreamer in his own right. And he was very keen that we also use pictures, which for us were a prerogative because Pallav has been covering the Indian space technology sector for several years, and we had a lot of good pictures. So it's a narrative that we are now very proud of as a nation. And I'm going to hand over to Pallav to introduce himself, but also to introduce Dr. Annadurai, who is an outstanding scientist with the Indian Space Research Organization. Pallav.
Thanks a lot. Good afternoon, friends. Good to see a nice little crowd after lunch, and a crowd which is not dozing and bobbing around, a crowd which is awake and listening. The cartoon of the Mars mission didn't show up. That's a failure of the information technology or the software. But the Mars Orbiter mission is currently orbiting Mars, or Mangalyaan as it is called, and doing very well there. So that is the level. A laptop can fail on Earth, but our satellite has not failed even when it is 200 million kilometers away. And the entire credit for that goes to the hardworking scientists at the Indian Space Research Organization and to the team led by Dr. M. Annadurai. I should also add, folks, you are blessed and fortunate to have him amongst you. He normally works within the 4 secure walls of the ISRO Satellite Center in Bangalore. Very seldom gets time to come out for occasions like this, and we were much obliged that he blessed us by coming for this session. So people in Jaipur, please reach out and take his autograph. He is the man who scaled first to Moon through Chandrayaan-1 and then made India go all the way to Mars. For people who may not know me, I have been a photographer and a writer for the last 25 years, covering India's space program, the nuclear program, missiles, vaccine development, and all the works like that. I've been to many places where I'm told I'm the first and the last journalist who has ever been allowed in. To some credit for myself, probably outside ISRO, I'm the only person and definitely the only journalist who has his fingerprints on the Mangalyaan, even as it goes around Mars just now. I was given very, very close access to the satellite. Recall, it's a 450 crore mission. And to give access to an outsider near the satellite to go around is very risky. Because if you just fall on it, end of mission. But ISRO has been definitely very considerate to me to give me space. A few words on Dr. M. Annadurai, a very humble engineer, had his beginnings from Coimbatore, trained as an engineer in Coimbatore, and believe me, till his master's degree, he did not leave Coimbatore or see any part of India. For a very large part of his early childhood, he lived without electricity. Having not stepped out of Coimbatore was not a stumbling block for him. What did he do? He took first India to Moon through Chandrayaan-1 in 2008, and then all the way to Mars. So here is a man who could dream for India to go far away, even though he had not seen the country when he was till his master's age. There are many more anecdotes I will tell. For a starter, what I want to do is, so that there is a little understanding on what the mission was, I worked with New Delhi Television as a science editor. We made a small animation film of what the Mars mission was all about. It took off, lifted off from the coast of Andhra Pradesh in Sriharikota on the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle on November 5th, 2013. And then it rendezvoused with the Red Planet on September 24th, 2014. In this 1.5-minute animation, you will get the entire journey. And can we have the animation, please? While we wait for the rocket that will carry India's first unmanned satellite to Mars is as high as a 15-story building and weighs nearly 320 tons, the weight of almost 50 full-grown elephants. One after the other, 4 stages of the rocket will ignite, taking Mangalyaan higher into space. The Mangalyaan will first make several revolutions around the Earth so that it gathers enough velocity to be then shot onwards to Mars on its long journey. It will take around 9 months before it covers the over 200 million kilometers to reach its destination near the red planet. The satellite will then be slowed down to be captured by the gravity of Mars, and then in a highly elliptical orbit, it will revolve around Mars. It will then conduct several experiments over the period of 6 months, announcing India's big leap to the world. With animation artist Ravi Kamal in New Delhi, Pallava Bagla for NDTV. So that was an animation showing how Mangalyaan did what it did. And India created history by reaching Mars on its debut attempt. America was not able to do that. Russia was not able to do that. And China failed in its maiden attempt. India did beat China in reaching Mars. In almost every other aspect of the Asian space race, China has beaten India. But in this marathon to Mars, India came on pole position. And that is highly creditable. And all the credit goes to the hardworking scientists at the Indian Space Research Organization. In the book, it is really about the men and women behind Mars, the Mars mission. And believe me, there are several women who have contributed to the mission on Mars. India does well because many engineers are women. What I would do is ask Dr. Annadurai to give us a little gist of how he went about making Mangalyaan. And Mangalyaan, recall, was made in a record 18 months. It was really a 100-meter dash after Prime Minister Manmohan Singh announced it from the ramparts of the Red Fort that India was heading towards Mars. It was a real roller coaster ride. Some of the engineers slept in the satellite center for the entire 18 months, going back home only for their change of clothes and for their puja. Yes, puja is very important for people, and they do it, and they used to go around for that. That is the kind of dedication. So, Annadurai, what drove you and your team to give India this incredible satellite which made global history?
Yeah, Pallav, thank you very much for giving the opportunity. Once again, it's very nice to a lot of youngsters who are going to take India much beyond Mars. I think they are all part of today's thing. Now you recall, basically when I'm talking about here, it is not only just a story of mine. And even this is basically symbolically indicating what is back in the 16,000 souls working in ISRO. And basically I am symbolically indicating, representing there. And now you look at here, it is a teamwork. It's a teamwork of today when Mars is going, it's a culmination of the teamwork. And it has gone from all the way from SLV of Dr. Kalam, whatever launched, all the way today PSLV going to Mars. It is basically a teamwork. And you look at here, we have taken, this is an once in a lifetime opportunity. Okay, being an Indian soil, getting an opportunity to launch a mission to the moon, getting an opportunity to aim for a Mars is something you not have dreamt. Considering the humble beginning from where we started my village, definitely it's not at all an easy task. But given the opportunity, we thought we should not lose. Okay, I think that is the basic thing each and every one of the team member felt. An opportunity is given to us, I think we should not lose. But having done that, definitely we looked at specifically this Mars orbiter, even Chandrayaan also similar thing was that, where the first attempts people have not succeeded. Second attempt, no. Third, no. First ever satellite which has gone to the Mars is the 5th attempt by US, 9th attempt by Russia, China yet to make, Japan yet to make. This is the background in which we started our work. So, opportunity was given, but the task is very, very Himalayan task. Again, given the task, it's possible to do in 2 ways. Given a fairly number of time, let us assume is given 10 years of time, possibly we can do. Second, if we are given a huge amount of money, billions of dollars given, probably we can do it. We had expertise, possibly we can do. Unfortunately, we didn't have any one of them. We are given only hardly 15 months of time. And the amount of money given is just 1/10 of what US has spent just a mission which is going to the Mars. And we are the first time going to the Mars. But still, we cannot have excuse of we are going first time, we are giving less time, we are giving less money. Still, we have to make it. So, we have no chance of failure. So, here comes the thing. Failure is a stepping stone for the victory. Doesn't mean you have to fail. Many people have failed. You have the lessons learned from that. I think that is the lessons the book basically trying to categorize, trying to capture that how the failures happened elsewhere. We have taken the lessons and ensured such things will not happen in our mission. I think that is the one which made us to make it, taking this opportunity. And once we make this opportunity, unambiguously, if we are able to reach the Mars, I think we are making the history. I think that is what you look at here everywhere. Pallav's video was telling about will. All the wills together, the great will of yes, we can do is the one which made the entire team to make this mission very shortest time frame with the minimum budget and making it a success first our time. I think it is all about giving opportunity, grabbing the opportunity, doing it unambiguously. Yes, we have to succeed. I think that is a part of the history today.
Thank you. In fact, you know, I just remember I was sitting with Annadurai in his office at the headquarters in ISRO, drinking a nice cup of Kannadiga coffee. And two things he said, you know, I was asking him about the mission, the decision, as Pallav said to you, August 2012, PM Singh announces it. And in 2014, we're there. It's incredible. I mean, this kind of timeline is absolutely unheard of. I think for the US, Menon, which is their satellite, took about 8 years in development, 7 years, and of course the funding. So he said two very wonderful things that day to me. One, he said, when I was first given the charge to do this, I was told, the first message I got to myself was that we are going alone. So India is going alone. There is no time for crafting huge partnerships with far more sophisticated, technologically sophisticated countries. There is no time for us to look here or there. We've got to do this. The second thing he said was, in India, there are no second chances because funds are very, very precious, and we have to make sure that we utilize every paisa which is getting put in. So there is no, and in space as it is, there's no second chance. It's not as though, for instance, the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, that huge rocket you saw at the beginning of the animation, there's no chance that we can say, oh, okay, it went halfway and it couldn't make the whole journey, but it was half successful. That concept is not there in space travel. It has to be 100% success or it's not there. And my sense as I traveled around all of these institutes, for instance, at the Space Applications Center in Ahmedabad, the sense I got was the kind of devotion and dedication with which scientists, engineers, 25-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 60-year-olds are working together. They're all government staff. I mean, they're all employed by the Indian government. These are government jobs. But the kind of sparkling, twinkling energy which one saw among women and men in those clean rooms, which led me to ask almost each of them that what makes you special? What is the kind of human resource policy that you adopt that makes everything so special? And what we learned, and we've tried to put that down into the book, was that everyone is valued at ISRO. Every person's opinion, views, through reviews, through very intensive reviews which are open to all, are taken into account, or at least listened to. And the other is the concept of teamwork. And the third is that most of these people, and Pallav, I'm sure, will talk a little more about this, are not from the IITs or the Ivy League institutions of engineering. They are from ordinary small-town engineering colleges. And they join ISRO as a first-ever job and never leave. they never leave, because what most of them said to me was that, you know, when I see that satellite up there, or when I see the rocket taking off, I know that I was responsible for even making sure that that one little nut and bolt had gone into the right place so that the rocket could make its journey. And none of them spoke about salaries or about monetary compensation. They said, it's fine, we're happy. And, you know, I think when that happiness goes into the work that we do, and I come from the health sector, and every night I wonder, why is it that we from the health sector are not able to ensure that our babies don't go to sleep hungry in this country? In this country, we're still fighting undernutrition. We don't have toilets for our people. We don't have clean, safe water. And, you know, we have Mangalyaan out there, made by India completely. And it's successful. And I'm sure that the data that comes in is something that Annadurai and his teams are looking at already. And I'm positive, given the experience we had with Chandrayaan, that the data and the information will also be of that standard and that quality. But another thing which I want to share with you is that there's also a geopolitics to this. So in these space races that we've seen in the past in our world, I'm sure there is the politics of how we want to go into space, when do we want to go into space, and how much resources do we want to put in. Pallav, do you want to share some of that with us? Because this is not often spoken about. But I'm aware that there are reasons why these decisions get taken and pushed. Of course, they are successful, but can you share a little bit with us?
Well, what I can start off by saying is many years of covering the Indian Space Research Organization very closely, I can say with some amount of surety, like take the case of the maiden mission to Moon, Chandrayaan-1. It was done within cost and at no time overrun. Totally un-Indian things. A time frame was decided and a cost was decided, and Annadurai and his team delivered within that. It is not a one-off affair. It happened with Mangalyaan as well. The time frame was 18 months, the cost was 450 crores, and they still have over 50 crores left in the kitty. That is the credit. And if ISRO can deliver, there are other government agencies which can also deliver. That is the message, and that is the learning which we should take back from. Now, a few more little additions and anecdotes about Dr. Annadurai. Since he will not tell you, I am going to relate that to you, and if he doesn't refute it, then believe me, they are true. I told you that he came from Coimbatore, and he never stepped out but took India all the way to Moon and Mars. During Chandrayaan-1, which was our maiden mission to the Moon, of which he was the project director, many people said in 2008, why is India wanting to go to the Moon? Way back in 1969, Neil Armstrong walked on the Moon. What are you guys going to do by just orbiting around the Moon? Yeah, valid question. Why spend 450 crores on that mission? But no. India's Chandrayaan-1 changed the history of the understanding of Moon. The Americans spent billions of dollars on their missions to Moon. About a dozen astronauts walked on the Moon, and some of them, I believe, kicked the rocks on the Moon to the heart's content, brought back rocks all the way back to Earth, analyzed it. But the understanding was that Moon is a highly parched surface, that there is no water on the Moon. It was really left to the India's sub-$100 million mission. $1 billion, several $billion at the other scale, and a sub-$100 million mission, which finally discovered the presence of water molecules on the surface of moon. That kind of amazing discovery came from a mission where India was the captain and rest of the other countries were team players. That is really what the story is all about in India trying to reach in outer space. But there is still a twist in the tail in the water story, and that relates directly to what Annadurai embodies. I told you, 2009, India discovered water on the moon, changed the history in which the moon was viewed. He comes from a village called Kodavari in Coimbatore. Small village, like any other village. We have thousands of them. He found water on the moon in 2009. When did his village get clean, continuous drinking water? Anybody in the audience can guess? When? Pardon? That's a good guess, but not accurate. No. Well, I think we are going all over the place. It was in 2013. And that was because he became a change agent. And the government, local government, essentially put in resources in his village to find a continuous supply of clean drinking water. So if you come from a place and you go back to your roots and give what is required, you can become a real change agent. And each one of us can contribute in different ways in being a change agent. At this point, I should also add, India's Mangalyaan, or the Mars Orbiter mission, has brought back some of the most stunning images of the Mars, of the red planet. There are only about a dozen or less than a dozen pictures of the entire disk of Mars. And some of them come from India's own Mars Orbiter mission. That is the level to which our technology has worked. At this point, I would ask Annadurai about a specific project which most people in India want to learn more about, which is the Indian Human Space Flight Program, which is when can we have Indian astronauts going into space on Indian rockets. As recently as December, we launched a crew module and recovered it. So the first steps of the human space flight are being laid. So Annadurai, tell us a little bit about when can we see Indians going into space from Sriharikota?
Pallava, you have rightly told technological point of view. Basically, you look at here, man going to the space and coming back. He has to go safely to the space. He has to come back safely from the space. I think that's what you have to ensure. So technology has to enable that. Definitely, you look at here, even hundreds of years back itself, man wanted to fly like a bird. And we have a lot of literatures. But it happened only recently. Now, it's very safely we are able to fly across India, affordable price. But similar thing to happen, technologically, we have to ensure what are all required. Accordingly, you look at here, we have already 2 missions have been launched from Indian soil. One is basically, you look at all the spacecrafts being launched into the space. Once that life is over, it will be like a debris will happens in the space. But unlike that, we have made a mission 4 years back, wherein spacecraft recovery experiment. That is, a spacecraft will be launched, go around the space around the Earth for a couple of orbits. Then it was safely retrieved in the Bay of Bengal. And during that time, ensure that the systems are intact. Within that system, experimentals are intact, such that it not get burned out, and it is safely sitting there. That is basically ensuring a technology, we can bring the system back to the Earth. Then having done that, whatever rightly told, the last December experiment is, assuming 2 or 3 astronauts are sitting inside the capsule, without really putting the people, experimentally now ensuring it is enough room, 3 people can sit inside. But you have to ensure that parameters which a man has to, if man is sitting there, it is enough temperature, pressure, and things like that have been ensured, so that he will be able to travel in the space and he will be able to come back safely also. I think simulating this, the crew module as by GSLV Mark III version. It has gone to the space, and then it has from the space, it is suborbital flight. It has safely it has come back, indicating, I think, we are technologically we have made another graduation, wherein the possibly a human being going and how we can brought back. Technically, we are trying to acquire that required technologies. And similarly, I think we have to upgrade these technologies for the mandatory mission. Things like that happen. Technically, probably we'll be able to acquire that. But however, if really whether man has to go, for example, today's technology, you look at here as rightly told, 1969, as a 10-year-old boy, I myself listened to the Armstrong landing on the moon. But really man has landed. He brought back the sand and stones, and after seeing that, people told moon didn't contain any water. Because you look at here, yes, they have gone to the moon, they brought back the sand and stones, water was not there, man was brought. But Chandrayaan, what it did, Chandrayaan also went to the moon. Chandrayaan, it was went through unambiguously, was trying to go through the whole moon repeatedly, it was 10 years. Each and every part of the moon was robotic instruments were analyzing which are the parts containing. Even now, Chandrayaan tells where Armstrong went and brought back the stones, water is not there even today. It was not there, even today water not there. But there are many places where Armstrong didn't go, water is there even today. Okay, it makes a difference. Even the man, and that means there are scientific exploration point of view, there are the regions with more than the man robotically possible. But still, really a requirement of man is there. By the time, I think if the given thrusts are there, given things are there, we will be able to do. But towards that, we are reaching towards that. It is too early to speculate when Indian go to the space is concerned.
Well, what Annadurai is not telling you is they need just 12,500 crore rupees to have a human space flight program. And it's not a very large sum of money, my dear friends. Today we talk of companies and individuals in India who have net worths more than this. An industrialist gifted a plane to his wife for over 300 crores for a human space flight, and believe me, it will happen the moment the government gives them a go-ahead. 7 years from whenever the government decides to put in 12,500 crores, ISRO says they can launch a man or a woman, and it could well be a woman from India going into space for the very first time. And all people who are right now in their 20s and under 20s in the audience, I'm sure, I don't know which one of you could well become the first Indian astronaut. Not Kalpana Chawla, not Sunita Williams, who have taken a ride on the American craft, but from an Indian space rocket. I can't go to space, I'm too old. Anybody who's less than 20 and around 20 can hope to become the astronaut. And within my lifetime, I'm very hopeful that we will have the first astronaut going up from Sriharikota and safely coming back into the Bay of Bengal. And not like Rakesh Sharma, who went on a Russian spacecraft and said, Hindustan सारे जहां से अच्छा Hindustan. But it will be an Indian going up on an Indian rocket and saying that. That would be a really astounding day. Now, to talk a little bit more about the Mars mission and why India undertook something like this, I'll let Subhadra lead the discussion a little more and then open it up for discussion.
I was wondering, Annadurai, if you can tell us a little bit about, this roller coaster ride, because my understanding when we wrote the book, one of the biggest challenges in sending a satellite to Mars, unlike the moon or any other location in space, is that, for instance, the communication challenge. In today's world, we live on instant gratification from communication. So if we WhatsApp each other and you don't respond within the next 5 seconds, the other person is anxious that, hey, I didn't get a response from you. So whereas for the Mars orbiter mission, MOM, the one-way communication signal takes as much as 20-25 minutes. So just imagine this, just imagine me saying hi to you and you replying to me after half an hour. It's in our world of communication today, it's unheard of. So a lot of scientists spoke to us about how challenging this was, because then you need to ensure that the satellite has what we call onboard autonomy, so that it's taking decisions on its own. And the ground networks, therefore, have a very different role to play because it's not instant communication. And similarly, making sure that the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle was ready to take this long journey, take the satellite on its long journey, and all the perils of, unexplored space. Would you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Thank you, Subhadra. That anyhow, that book captures fairly well, and like that video what is coming, fairly well what are all the difficulties we had, what are all the challenges we had. You look at here, as we told, not only the money, not only the time is very, very optimal given to us, even the technology available also was equally challenging. For example, if PSLV mission, PSLV has its own limitation of this much mass only it can take, not more than 1350 kg weight you can take. From that, if you take, to reach the Mars, you have to go with the minimum fuel, that is optimum fuel you have to go. That means your car or scooter, you cannot load the 25 liter, 30 liter, 40 liters. It is given, Amma is giving only for the 1 liter per day. So you have to go the shortest possible route only you should take. So that way if you are going, so if you are going, then again you are talking about the typical geometry in which Earth, Sun, Mars, all the things are coming together. It gives optimally one particular day. Once in 26 months, particular day only you have to launch. Again, you're launching here. After the launch, you have to keep going towards the Mars and try to capture after 9 months. You have particular geometry in which you have to go. So this calls for PSLV, again with the constraint of PSLV launch. The launch typically calls for a launch somewhere in the West Pacific. I think something similar geometry it calls for, but you cannot go and launch from there. So we have arrived at an optimal solution, wherein you know that PSLV has a 4-stage rocket, and first 1, 2, 3, third stage goes, it's almost going to the space. But you have to give additional velocity before that it reaches to the orbit where it's intended. So this is the first time what we have done. After taking first stage, second stage, third stage to fourth stage, it was simply coasting. It was going all the way, and from Sriharikota via Indonesia, Australia, fly over near the West Pacific. And from there it restarts. I think first time we have done that. That means without shifting our Sriharikota, we shifted the where the fourth stage can shift, do that. So when we go that way, that is the first time and a very challenging opportunity we have done. That ensured we have taken the shortest path to going the Mars is concerned. Now having done that, now 9 months it travels. Okay, when doing a 9 months it's traveling, it is going further and away from the Earth. And every 3 lakh kilometer, as Subhadra has rightly told, 1 second time delay comes. Every 3, that is one-way delay. That means every 3 lakh kilometer it travels, we are 1 second it's going. Slowly, where the real-time control of the satellite is going away. It takes 1 second more, next day 2 seconds more, 3 seconds more, like that ones keep going. 9 months later, it's coming more than 15-20 minutes, one-way trip. Now again Mars is keep going away after capturing. So we ground controllers should slowly get accustomed to that delay, but some satellite also should it could be configured such that in case of any issue, it should decide on its own, and what are all the redundant systems should be taken over, and such that still it continues its journey. So this calls for a totally different type of satellites than what we have done all along, even beyond Chandrayaan what we have done. That means slowly we are coming to know yourself and your father or parents, that communication gap, whatever coming, it is happening day in day for the Mangalyaan 2 controllers. And Mangalyaan also should know, yes, you cannot be under the control of the ground systems, and one day you should work on your own. Okay, I think this is what happens. So there is a two-way communication to make sure that you are less and less under controller, but you are taking over controller, this Mangalyaan takes, though it's electronics box. So that sort of system have been given, such that enough autonomy. That means the systems, you cannot carry the redundant system there, but it should, any problem comes, it must be able to adjust and keep working for that. And this is technologically, this ensures such sort of autonomy was given to the satellite. This calls for, again, the time crunch of within 13 months, making a satellite ensuring all the things have been tested, very well put. Because after putting it there, you have nothing called, once again calling back and putting the system not possible. Rebooting system is not possible. Okay, it is like a Windows, whatever you're doing. The rebooting system, resetting system, is a satellite is not there. So it has to work on its own. So it is a very, very challenging thing. I think as of now, everything is going fine, indicating what we have done is correct.
If I can quickly add and deconstruct some of the complexity which Annadurai explained, it is like when you flip a coin and you shoot with a gun, the coin, you see the Olympic shooters doing that in the trap shoot events. Only thing is now you have to flip a coin, you have to aim the satellite so that it goes 200 million kilometers away to Mars. So you flip a coin and shoot a gun sitting in Delhi while the coin is flipped in Bombay. That is the kind of precision you require to put a satellite all the way in Mars orbit and reach it within 50 kilometers of what your destination is. Even our auto rickshaw walas don't take you in the right direction sometimes. They take you in a wayward direction. The Mars orbiter mission had to do it so precisely. On the issue of communication, if I were to deconstruct this, and I have done this on television several times, if a signal were to go from Bangalore to Mangalyaan when it is currently in orbit, saying, "Hello Mangalyaan, how are you?" It takes 12.5 minutes all the way there. And by the time Mangalyaan says, "Bangalore, there is no problem," the same way as NASA said, "Houston, we have a problem." And here we can't say we have a problem because there is no problem. Mangalyaan says we have no problem. It takes a communication of another 12.5 minutes. And by then the satellite has traversed several lakh kilometers. And within that you have to have complete control over it. And that is the level of mastery which Annadurai and his team have done. He really embodies what in India we can achieve if we put our minds and hearts to a problem.
There's a quotation on Annadurai's table which says, "Failure is not an option." So with that, I'd like to open it out for questions, and please give your name and who you want to address the question to.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sir, I read a fact about the Mars orbiter mission that Dr. Arun, as in when the mom was on the verge of achieving a stage, he went out of the surveillance room. It was a belief of him that because of him, maybe the Mars MOM could not succeed. And it got into the Mars orbit when Narendra Modi was there, and then also he took permission from him to get out of the room. So, did you have any beliefs of that? Any superstition?
Absolutely no. To me, such a beliefs are not there. I can tell you, but exactly by the example I can tell you. When the Mars orbiter mission was launched that day, basically taking to the control point of view, that day I was in Bangalore only. Every operation went through. Arunan was in, to my knowledge, why it happened? Why would he would have believed I was thinking about that? He was in Sriharikota. Next day operation, he comes back. That operation we had some snacks. He actually was in the control room, but there was some issue. Probably he would have thought, because he was inside, I think probably that is the belief could have gone into his mind. Okay, but absolutely there was no, you see, just because he would have been inside the control room also, I'm 100% sure would have gone to the Mars. I'm 100% sure. There is no issue at all. But it is just a coincidence. First operation was, because we have taken successively, we are doing a maneuvers. You would have seen that video. We are doing a maneuvers. First maneuver, everybody was here, but that day Arunan happened to be there in Sriharikota. But next day he came. Due to some other technical reason, that got aborted. I was very sure why it got aborted. Within minutes, we understood that. But he was under the feeling, just because he was there, it got aborted. So next maneuver onwards, during just around that time, he will go out. That is what his belief, or the individual's beliefs. But I am pretty sure, even if he would have been there inside the control room, he would have made the mission to the Mars.
Well, I can add something. There was absolutely no need, believe me, for anybody to be in the control room when the Mars orbiter mission was reaching Mars. It was doing everything autonomously. So even if Narendra Modi was there or not there, or Manmohan Singh was there or not there, it wouldn't have made any difference. The Mars orbiter mission would have performed because it was programmed more than several hours ago to do what it was supposed to do.
The lady here in front, please. Here in front, yeah. Thank you.
Hello, ma'am. Hello, sir. So my question is addressed to Mr. Annadurai. My name is Anjit. This question is more on a technical side. So you mentioned that the rocket has this autonomous decision-making program. So one scenario that I can imagine is that probably since with missions there are a lot of use cases, so you know what all can go wrong, or probably you have an idea of, say, at this particular step what all could be the probable cases, and so maybe the rocket knows on how to react. So, or was this programming that the fact of autonomous you're mentioning more on the artificial intelligence side, another area which is very highly valued in research circles nowadays? So which of the two was it, the technology that you used?
Yeah, I know that artificial intelligence is being talked a lot, but it has not really taken off, you know that. But this is, as you told, what are all anticipated issues? There are the two ways. Autonomy is coming something like this. The way in which what we implemented is all anticipated things. Okay, all anticipated things. If this happens, what rule to follow? This is only a rule-based system. It's going there. Something happens, something you do like that. But there is a possibility in case of all the things there may be a rule. There is no such possibility. Then where there is another default mode. In the default mode, it comes and it waits for us to react. Okay, it is autonomy means yes of now we have not gotten to that situation. But the way in which you have done is all possible things which we have foreseen. Okay, we have the very good way of reviewing of the whole system is there. In that, every one of them, what all the identified the problems have been coded properly. According to rules are in a place. As per the rules, it follows. But in case, let us assume there is something it is happening beyond whatever we have envisaged, then it comes to a default condition. In the default condition, it is in a power safe mode. All the things are switched off, and it will be waiting for the control command from ground. Okay, that is the way it has been done.